Georgia is a great state to visit because geographically it goes from the mountains to the beaches. It has a rich history and lots of fun family activities. We're going to begin our tour in the North Georgia mountains and work our way all the way south to the Florida border. The city of Chattanooga, Tennessee is right on the Georgia-Tennessee border. Therefore, some of its most famous attractions are actually in Georgia. Lookout Mountain is the southernmost of the Appalachian Mountains. Rock City Gardens is worth a visit. The gardens were started privately in the early 20th century and made public in 1932. It's a beautiful walk through the native flora and rock formations. Highlights include a 140-foot waterfall and a perch from which you can see 7 states at the same time. There is also a Fairyland attraction, which you'll find kind of cheesy, but your kids will love it. Cloudland Canyon State Park is about a half-hour south of Chattanooga and is probably Georgia's most beautiful park, especially in the autumn. There are lots of hiking trails and 2 impressive waterfalls. There's also a lodge and a few cabins in the park as well as camping. The facilities are 2-star at best, so if you object to sharing facilities with nature, make this a day trip from Chattanooga. The town of Blue Ridge bills itself as a small southern mountain town, but actually it's surprisingly cultured. The downtown area has lots of shops and restaurants, some of them quite good. The town itself is pretty and has a lot of personality. There's also a train here called the Blue Ridge Scenic Railway. The train will take you on a 4-hour round trip to McKaysville along the Taccoa River. The trip includes a 2-hour stop in McKaysville, which has very limited shopping and eating options. As you continue east, you start entering Georgia's mountain communities. Now I realize every town now has a historic downtown area, but Dahlonega is an especially good example of a beautiful little southern town. Gold was discovered here in 1829, and you can still tour an old gold mine and pan for gold. The United States Mint even operated a branch here leading up to the Civil War. A few miles outside of the town is the southern terminus of the Appalachian Trail. 2,190 miles away at Baxter State Park in Maine, you'll find the northern terminus. The award for the cutest little town in Georgia has to go to Helen. It's about 40 minutes northeast of Dahlonega. Helen put itself on the map during the 1970s by passing ordinances requiring buildings to be built in the style of a Bavarian alpine village. It is especially charming during Oktoberfest and Christmas seasons. Helen is worth a little drive, but it's also small, and about a half a day is all you're going to need to see it. Now, just outside of Helen is Unicoi State Park and Anaruby Falls. This is a beautiful area, and there are accommodations there ranging from campsites to a nice lodge and conference center. During the summer, there is a nice range of outdoor activities including boating, horseback riding, and hiking. The town of Cleveland gets a quick mention here because it's only 15 minutes south of Helen, and it's the home of Babyland General Hospital. This is where Cabbage Patch dolls are born, and you can still go in and adopt a doll for yourself. About an hour east and 20 minutes apart are Tallulah and Taccoa Falls. While Taccoa Falls is a more traditional waterfall, Tallulah Falls is more of a gorge with a river running through it. The gorge is up to 1,000 feet deep and can be viewed from an observation deck on old US 441. This is also a great place to enjoy some of the area's hot apple cider. It's not worth a special trip, but if you're in the area, stop by. Our next stop brings us into the metropolitan Atlanta area. Atlanta is a modern city, and it's the 10th largest U.S. city. It's the home to the world's busiest airport, Delta Airlines, Coca-Cola, and CNN. While Atlanta is as safe as any other major city, it's a good idea to know where you're going and to be aware of your surroundings. There's no shortage of fun things to do in Atlanta. The Georgia Aquarium is the world's second largest and Georgia's most popular tourist attraction. Several thousand species of aquatic life are represented. Some of the most popular are sea lions, dolphins, penguins, beluga whales, and the Ocean Voyager exhibit featuring several varieties of shark, including the world's largest, the whale shark. There's a restaurant and a 3D theater here as well. The aquarium is right on the edge of Centennial Olympic Park. The park was built as part of the city's preparation for its hosting of the 1996 Olympic Games. It's just a short walk to the world of Coca-Cola, and this is where you can learn the history of Atlanta's hometown drink. Also, right in the area near Olympic Park is CNN. They offer frequent tours of their facilities, and you may even see a celebrity. Between the 3 attractions around the park, you can easily spend a day here. From the park, you can catch a streetcar to the historically significant King Center for Nonviolent Social Change, mostly known simply as the King Center. Highlights of the center and the surrounding area include the graves of Dr. King and his wife Coretta Scott King, historic Ebenezer Baptist Church where he pastored, and the home in which he was born. The Carter Center, featuring the Jimmy Carter Presidential Library, is not far from the King Center. There are some interesting exhibits here and a replica of the Carter Oval Office. North of downtown Atlanta is an area known as Midtown, where you can find the city's largest park, Piedmont Park. It's a beautiful park and it features the Atlanta Botanical Gardens. The gardens have been upgraded in recent years and are now among the best in the country. Also in Midtown is the historic Fox Theater, the home of Gone with the Wind author Margaret Mitchell, and the city's cultural hub, anchored by the High Museum of Art and Symphony Hall. The area of town known as Buckhead is where you'll find the Atlanta History Center. This is an interesting museum with some nice exhibits. Right next door is the historic Swan House, which you may recognize as President Snow's mansion in the Hunger Games films. Buckhead is also where you'll find the city's most high-end shopping and dining. Atlanta also boasts a world-class zoo in the Grant Park area, and there is a Six Flags Park about 15 minutes west of downtown. About 20 minutes east of Atlanta is the world's largest piece of exposed granite, Stone Mountain. In addition to being a natural wonder, a family-friendly village has grown up on the north side of the mountain. There is a nightly laser show in the summer that's a real family favorite, and you can take a gondola ride to the top. I'll mention here that there is a carving on the side of the mountain that celebrates the Confederacy. Although it's no longer the focus of the area, parents might want to be prepared for that discussion. About halfway between Atlanta and Augusta is Lake Oconee. This resort town sprang up in the last 20 years or so. It now features several world-class golf courses and a Ritz-Carlton resort. If rest and relaxation are what you seek, this could be the place for you. Remember, Georgia can get quite hot and humid during the summer, and freezing temperatures are not uncommon during the winter. As with any golfing vacation, remember to check the weather when you're planning. An hour east and right on the South Carolina line is the golf capital of the world, Augusta. Although the city is synonymous with golf, there are other things that you might want to check out here. If you come to Augusta to see the National Golf Course, you will be disappointed. It's hidden behind a fence. For a city its size, Augusta is curiously uninteresting. There are a few local attractions like the Riverwalk or the Augusta Museum of History, but nothing that would justify a special trip. If you're in the area, check out the Sacred Heart Cultural Center. It's a retired cathedral that now hosts receptions and other gatherings. Before we talk about Georgia's amazing coastal region, let's swing back across the state into southwest Georgia. There's an area here that the Georgia Department of Economic Development calls Presidential Pathways. Plains, Georgia is the home of President Jimmy Carter. The town is a charming example of small-town Southern life. You can get a peek at the former president's home, but not a great view. Just outside of town, you can tour Carter's childhood home. And here's something special. If you're in the area on Sunday, Carter still teaches Sunday school at Maranatha Baptist Church. The church's website has the dates and information if you're interested. On most Fridays and Saturdays, you can catch the Sam Shortline train from Cordele along Interstate 75 to Plains. History buffs will also want to spend time in the Andersonville area about 15 minutes north. Andersonville National Historic Site marks the location where nearly 13,000 Union prisoners of war died during the Civil War. It offers a rare glimpse into the horrors of war. About 90 minutes north, you'll find the towns of Pine Mountain and Warm Springs. Warm Springs is the home to FDR's Little White House. This is the former president's favorite place and the place where he died in 1945. There is a great museum here on the grounds of a rehabilitation center that Roosevelt founded. In nearby Pine Mountain is the world-class Callaway Gardens. Callaway features more than 6,000 acres of gardens and forest, a butterfly conservatory, and 36 beautiful holes of golf. There's also nice lodging and restaurants here. It's a special place. Now we're headed as far east as we can go to the area known as the Coastal Empire and the Empress, Savannah. This beautiful city is one of the nation's oldest, and the tree-lined cobblestone streets will take you back to a time when cotton was king. Savannah has many old homes open for tours, a bustling riverwalk that dates back 3 centuries, fascinating cemetery and ghost tours, and a rich, interesting history. There's also a tour pointing out the locations of the bestseller Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. Savannah also prides itself on being a good host. You'll find world-class restaurants and inns. The beach at Tybee Island is about 20 minutes away, and be sure to stop in and check out Fort Pulaski on the way. 90 miles south of Savannah are the Golden Isles of Georgia. St. Simon's is a peaceful retreat with quaint shops and restaurants, the remains of a Revolutionary War fort, oak trees dripping with Spanish moss, beaches, and a natural shoreline. Jeckyll Island is home to Millionaire's Row, where you will find the Industrial Revolution area mansions of some of the most famous names in business. The Jeckyll Island Club was built as a place where their guests could stay. It still welcomes guests for a relaxing weekend of swimming and croquet on the lawn. Nearby Cumberland Island National Seashore isn't home to any people, but it is one of the few places where wild horses still roam. Be sure to find some time to see this special place. Our last stop in Georgia is an hour or so west of Cumberland Island. The Okefenokee National Wildlife Refuge is home to some unique and endangered wildlife. It spans over 400,000 acres of swamp. Tour boats will take you deep into the dark swamp and introduce you to its toothy inhabitants. There are footpaths and a few biking trails as well. Remember, this is an untamed wilderness area, and the gators, snakes, and spiders should be respected. The swamp has a fascinating past, and you can hear tales of subjects ranging from Aboriginal people to moonshiners. There's good camping around the swamp, but for hotel accommodations, try Jacksonville, Florida, about an hour southeast. Georgia is the largest state east of the Mississippi and one of the original 13. You can easily spend a week or more here and never get bored. If you have any questions, just drop me a note or comment below.